Hi everybody, Levi Clay here, and I'm back again for another guitar lesson. This time we are looking at one of the modes of the melodic minor scale. Yes, this is one of my favourite scales to play. It's an awesome sound, and I intend to be doing a lot more videos on the subject, maybe even writing a book on it, because yeah, you can find some really exotic, mysterious sounds contained in this scale. So yeah, we're not dealing with the parent, which would be melodic minor, which can be thought of as Dorian with a raised seventh. If I just do that in G for you now, Dorian would be... Melodic minor has a raised seventh, so... So it has an interesting sound to it, and it's usually used, well, in a few contexts actually. Basically anywhere where I play a minor 7 chord, I will do, anywhere I would play Dorian, I would play melodic minor as a spicy flavour. It can be used for playing over dominant 7 chords, secondary dominant 7 chords, but as I say, theory for another day. Today I want to look at one of the modes of the scale, so I'm going to look at the 5th mode, which is Mixolydian flat 6. Now, this isn't an unusable mode by any stretch of the imagination, but it's probably not the most used mode in melodic minor. And as the name would suggest, it's literally just the Mixolydian scale, but with a flattened 6th. So I think the important part to understand when I talk about something like that is really know what that means and to play a harmony or a chord progression that sounds like that scale. That's very important to me. So I came up with a basic little chord progression which is modal in nature and very much sounds like the Mixolydian scale. You see, when you dig into the chords, the diatonic chords of the melodic minor scale, you find that it's not the major scale. We don't have major 7 as chord 1, minor 7 as chord 2, minor 7 as chord 3, major 7 as chord 4, dominant 7 as chord 5, minor 7 as chord 6, and minor 7 flat 5 as chord 7. No, no, no. We have a more interesting collection of chords. Chord 1 is actually a minor major 7 chord. Chord 2 is a minor 7 chord. Chord 3 is a major 7 chord but with a sharp 5. Chord 4 is a dominant 7. Chord 5 is also a dominant 7. And then chord 6 and chord 7 are minor 7 flat 5 chords. So there's two dominant 7 chords a tone away from each other, and that's really what I'm using to create this modal chord progression. I was jamming on a F sharp type vamp. Let's get my guitar volume real low because I've got a lot of drive on. So that type of thing, which I play all the time. I'm a blues player. All that type of vocabulary, right? Cheesy swing blues stuff. And when I do that, I'm used to substituting a major triad from a tone below. And I thought to myself, well, what would happen if instead of playing a major triad below F sharp, so going from F sharp to an E triad with the F sharp in the bass, which still says Mixolydian to me, still totally says Mixolydian, I thought, well, what would happen if I made that a dominant 7 chord? So an F sharp major triad, but then I went to an E7 chord after that. And I played around with it for a little bit, and I found that what I liked to do was keep that F sharp bass note there. So really what I'm going to do is I'm going to play an F sharp followed by an E7, but just on the D, G and B string. So open D, first fret, B, G, and open B, but with an F sharp in the bass, which is already a moody sounding chord. When you put those two things one after the other, you get this sound, which is really nice. I really like this. So when I do that, I know that this has to have been harmony that's taken from the melodic minor scale. And just before I move on, I actually pad the chords out a little bit on the backing track, which is a totally different vibe from what I'm used to recording, right? I actually played an F sharp add 11, so it's like a major triad, but I've got the open B string in there. And then for the E7, I actually play the open E string as well, so it's really kind of like a, what would you think of this as being? It's still a full-on E, but that E, the open E, is really the 7th of the F sharp chord. So So you would write that as E7 slash F sharp, or an E7 chord played over an F sharp bass note. So that's what I play on the backing. So as I said, this is created using notes of the Mixolydian flat 6 scale. So what does that mean? Well, Mixolydian would be root 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and flat 7. We have a flat 6. So instead of F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp and E, we actually have a D natural. F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C and D on the same string. And then back to our flat 7, so E and then F sharp. Now I really do feel that's the best way to practice and learn this scale, is to get to grips with it being Mixolydian, which is a sound you should already know, and understand where the 6th is and how to flatten that note. If I was playing around this kind of, 9th fret area, F sharp here at the 9th fret, this would be my F sharp 7. This would be my F sharp Mixolydian. And because I know where the 6th is in that, instead of having we'd actually have it's a really mournful sounding scale, and there are a lot of great chord progressions you can write that use this vibe. Another one I'm really fond of is I like playing like an A add 9. Then I play a D minor triad but keep the A in the bass. And that totally has that. Got that Mixolydian flat 6 sound to it. So it's a lovely scale. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut in a little clip of me playing the Mixolydian flat 6 scale over the chord progression, just so you can hear how that sounds. There's a little bit of improvising at the end, just so you can hear what it sounds like when you use that scalar approach. So that sounds like this. There's enough that you can get by with there, absolutely enough. You can just think Mixolydian flat 6, or you could cheat a little bit. You know, it's music, you can't cheat, but you could actually just think B melodic minor, which is something that I do from time to time on this. Anytime you hear me play things like that type of lick, that's really the moments there where I'm kind of thinking B melodic minor, which is, like I say, the parent scale of the mode Mixolydian flat 6. So I do that from time to time, but that's not really the approach that I wanted to introduce and I wanted to help you with here. I think what's beneficial here is to be more aware of the chords that are happening. Because this is an F sharp major chord, or F sharp 7 chord, going to an E7 chord, sometimes it sounds really refreshing to treat it as that. So when the F sharp happens, play F sharp 7. those types of things, all notes of the F#7 arpeggio, right? And then when the E7 with an F# in the bass happens, I'll shift my perspective a little bit and think more E7. And that's going to give us the sound of this chord progression. There's no denying that. We've got an F#7 going to an E7. Get some really nice vocabulary if you think like that. So that's a little bit more, you have to be a little bit more harmonically aware, but that's always the point, right? Doing that is going to give your improvising a degree of context. Everything you play matters, it means something. So I'm going to cut in another example here, and here's me thinking a little bit more of each arpeggio and playing off of each arpeggio. So that sounds like this. Now, of course, those aren't the only approaches to doing this. There's a lot of things that I'm doing when I'm playing over this, to be honest. Sometimes, like I say, just thinking of the parent mode. Sometimes thinking Mixolydian flat 6. Other times thinking dominant 7 and ignoring that flat 6, because the flat 6 is the characteristic note of the mode. So I'll often save that for when it's really important. If I'm playing F#7, I've not played that 6th at all, so I'm saving it for when that E7 chord lands, because then we'll have as soon as I play that flattened 6, it suddenly you hear the harmony of that chord change, which was, because again that chord has a D note in there, and you know that shouldn't be understated. And you can go down a whole different route of things. You could start thinking of other chords that are in the scale. You could think B minor, B minor, major 7. You could play sort of, or you could start thinking of other modes that are in the scale, or other pieces of harmony. So looking at things like there's what have we got in there? We've got a D major 7 sharp 5. D major 7 sharp 5. Words to that effect? I don't have my guitar up loud enough to really be able to hear myself. So yeah, like I say, absolutely tons of things that you can do. I like lots of augmented arpeggios and things like that. But really, what I want you to experiment with here is getting to grips with what it sounds like to play that modal note, that flat 6. It sounds incredible over this chord progression. So before I give you the backing track, I just want to say a huge thank you to these people over here. So my supporters over on patreon.com. They keep these videos coming to you. So a huge thank you to you guys. We just had a lot of fun last night doing our study club live stream, where we were doing connecting chords with linear harmony, going through that book and, you know, exploring it and expanding upon some of the ideas and expanding our practice routines. So that was a lot of fun. That is an exclusive tier to the $20 plus guys, but you can get lots of stuff on my Patreon. such as access to my private Patreon-only Facebook group. You get that for as little as $1. You get access to my transcription challenges, and worth plugging because yeah, it's a lot of fun. So lastly, I'm going to put on this backing track for you and let you guys play over it. This one's a lot of fun. So yeah, give it a go. Remember, Mixolydian flat 6, F sharp Mixolydian with a flat 6. So you really want to pay attention to that D note when that E7 over F sharp lands. Good luck guys, and I'll see you for another video soon. Bye.